recovery through the efforts of our city manager and the cooperation of our faith-based community. We have a viable program evolving today for emergency preparation, response, and then ultimately recovery. The worst scenario, of course, is the subduction zone off the coast. But wake up, Robert. What did we just see going on down in California? And what could happen to us right now? It happened in the 30s in the Tillamook burn, and we could see that type of thing again. So what are we preparing for? We are preparing for any type of those disasters, how to respond to them, and then the recovery that comes after. This has also been done in a very positive coordination at the county and in cooperation with other local cities. So this is a very viable activity. It's a living activity. It's not just something we did. It is a living activity that's going on right now. We had some land transactions with Baker Rock, where we bought some land for what is now the animal shelter, was the animal shelter. Now they are now a private nonprofit has it. Our wastewater treatment plant and the public works maintenance yard, which we've had some exchanges in there. During this period of time, we also had the divestiture of the various springs that were owned by the city, and those were transferred to the Chehalem Springs Water Association. During this period of time also, for our benefit, we had installed new city wells in our well field, wells 7, 8, and 9, during this period of time. We're in our well field is just across the river in Marion County. But we own the land there, and that's in our well field. We also have, and we are unique in this area, we also have the construction of the well field water supply line that goes under the Willamette River. And that was a successful construction. We have the construction of the Corral Creek Reservoir that occurred. It's up above the greens. And the rehabilitation and seismic upgrade of both of our reservoirs on the north side of town. That's done. We had the adoption of the stormwater utility fee and stormwater management plan. We had not had any of that. Stormwater was just something that was dealt with. Now we have a plan and a way of funding that. We cleaned up a drainage system that had been built over the top of by homes, businesses, etc., down on Blaine Street, and that has been cleaned up. And then I want to talk for just a moment about our unsung hero, and that's the public library in the city of Newberg. With that, we've had the expansion of the children's room. We talked about the annual Christmas tree lighting. This is the 34th year that they have sponsored that Christmas tree lighting. The library is a partner with the Chehalem Cultural Center, where we are right now, in the formation of the Newberg Cultural District, for the management of what goes on in the properties that are impacting the neighborhood. The library has additional Wi-Fi added for patron use now. The addition of e-books and downloadable audiobooks. Over 40,000 items now available. You can access the help of a librarian through a 24/7 chat service now. Establish the Library of Things. Games, ukuleles, museum passes, cookware, telescopes, and more to explore and learn. The Library Foundation made grants totaling $100,000 to support the library, book and equipment of the library. The Library Friends contributed $110,000 to library programming, events, and equipment through the donation of and the purchase of used books in the community. Registered library card holders have grown by 27% during this period of time. Collections of items has grown by, the collection of items in the library has grown by 120%. The number of items checked out has increased by 42%. The library hours were reduced in 2010. By the way, 2010, if I'm not incorrect, and I think there may be somebody here that will correct me, but I believe 2010, August of 2010, was the first meeting of the Newberg Area Historical Society. Am I correct?
Wrong. No, I'm not.
No, you
No, absolutely, thank you. Yes.
There were those, I think, that are here, at least I was here when we did that. That was in 2010. But at the same time, in 2010, we reduced the library hours to 37 hours a week. They're now back up to 42 hours a week, which is a real boom for our community. Let's take a look at economic development. In economic development, on the downside, we're coming out of a recession, and we're coming out of the closure of the West Rock. And by the way, I do not have any insights on where we are with West Rock. I wish I did. I wish I had something to tell you on that. But as we're looking at economic development strategy, we have 4 pillars of activity that we've worked with. Industrial sector, our commercial sector, our business development and workforce sector, and tourism and hospitality. We have the Newberg Strategic Tourism Plan. That's evolving. We're going to be looking at a whole new marketing concept for that. The TLT ad hoc committee has been working on that, doing great things. Initially on the transit lodging tax, TLT, transit lodging tax, we had a grant program that was really quite successful, but extremely burdensome to administer, and is now moving towards a marketing program that will bring people in and start taking advantage of that. We're also looking at the area of a new law that has just been passed. In fact, Treasury just came out with the rules, I want to say 3 weeks ago, called Federal Opportunity Zones. And this is an interesting activity that you will hear more about in the future. We have our downtown improvement plan, and you have heard about this, and you've worked with Mr. Ragsdale on this a number of times, and have a sense of what's going on there as we're trying to define what our downtown should be like with the completion of the bypass. We have the Riverfront Master Plan that is being worked on now. I invited you to the open house that's on the 4th, and we hope that you're all there. That is evolving. We're working on that together with the state, together with the county, together with Park and Rec, to make this a very viable area. We have the urban growth boundary expansion efforts, which are a constant frustration. The money that we have spent on trying to gain urban growth boundary expansion and being frustrated and fought by various elements around the state is really not good. And it's in the thousands. It's up to probably pretty close to a 6-digit figure. I hope that changes. We are also talking about in the future, we talk about, we're here for history, but we need to look to the future, that there may be some efforts at the legislative level to maybe help that. We have the South Industrial Master Plan. That's run into problems with our urban growth. One that you may have some mixed feelings on is we've gone through the whole spectrum of trying to come up with workable marijuana regulations. That's a fact now, good, bad, or different. We've got it. And so far, it's working reasonably well. We host now and have the pleasure of the Allison Inn and Spa. 5-star organization, the only one we have in the state as far as international acclaim to it. and it has proved to be a very sound draw for this community, and it's a good foundation on which to build. We have increased our sister city relationships. When I came on board, we had a sister city relationship with a community called Wadayama, Japan. Wadayama was annexed into Asago City, Japan. We continue to have a sister city relationship. It's a cultural exchange at the middle school level. And based on discussions I've had with Mayor Taji of Asago City, their desire is to keep it at that level. They don't want to enlarge it any, but they do want to keep it at that level, and it has continued at that level. Beginning in 2002, we initiated the discussions and began a relationship with Poisdorf, Austria. And that is, they are the wine center of Austria in that part of Europe, as we are here in Newberg-Dundee area. And they wanted to start sister cities, so we initiated that relationship. It began as a cultural exchange and getting to know each other. It is now moving and will be looked at in the future on an economic level, and there's a number of things that we see can be valuable based on the groundwork that has been laid, the interest of some organizations at Poisdorf, perhaps having some of their innovations put to work here in the Chehalem Valley. So we have the two sister city relationships right now. I want to move to housing, if I may. Right now we have 1,600 residential housing units being or scheduled to be built in Newberg over the next 5-year period. 1,600 residential units. This includes single-family homes and apartment complexes. Apartment complexes could be the Chehalem Points Apartments. Since 2007, we've had apartments of Oak Grove, Toby Apartments, Deskins Commons. And if you remember the discussions we had with Deskins Commons, that was something else. Springbrook Apartments have been constructed. Compare that with 2007, when there were 300 family units. 1,600 now, 300 family units, and no apartments, with the recession of 2008 following, when nothing was being built. However, affordable housing continues to be a major concern. I started out, but again, the wheels of the gods do grind slowly. It was a concern when I started out, and it is still a concern. We've made progress. We've made progress. We've made some changes in some of our zoning requirements, etc. It's very slow progress. It's interesting. 19.1% of our population is in poverty. 28% of the renters that we have in the city of Newberg are in rent burden. Now that means that 30% or more is paid towards housing costs. The median income for Newberg is $53,475. We have, as I indicated earlier, one of our ad hocs is the Housing Needs Ad Hoc Committee. And they are looking at this, they're addressing it. They've come to the council with ideas, and the council has begun to implement some of these ideas, and they will be looking, the new council will be looking at more of these as we move on. Transportation. The second thing, it was on my agenda when I came in. We've updated our transportation plan 3 or 4 times. We have a current updated one. We have had Sheridan Street reconstructed. Right here, your forecourt. It has made this more the bedroom or the living room, if I may, the living room of Newberg. We had that. The College Street bike ped on the west side, moving from Vermillion, Vermillion on up to roughly Fircrest. And we now have a project moving from that, hopefully to go as far as Foothill. Funding may make that a little bit less than Foothill, but we have that now. And the east side, bike ped on the east side, is on the drawing board, but we're not doing anything with that right now. Maple Rush Elementary and Deborah Road, we established a Safe Routes to School program there. We're in the process of upgrading our ADA bike and sidewalk plans and improvements. We have to do this because of federal law, but we have to do it because of our commitment to our citizens. The first phase, I knew it was going to happen, but I also had my fingers crossed. The first phase of the bypass is open and operative, and is proving to be successful. We also adopted a transportation utility fee. With that, we now have yearly citywide pavement maintenance and construction projects that we're able to fund, that we were not previously able to fund. The city has 4.19 miles of gravel streets and alleys today. 1.44 of our streets and 2.75 are alleys. The city council has just begun discussions again of how to have all of our streets paved. They began that discussion on November 15th of this year. Those neighborhoods are around the West 5th and an area off Morton Street. The city's newly revised transportation plan for Yamhill, the newly revised transportation plan for Yamhill County and Newberg. There will be, for those of you that have used public transit or are aware of it, there will now be 4 distinct routes in Newberg. There have not been that in the past. 4 distinct routes, and there are new buses. There are. Overall, the city has been very successful in both its public sector partnerships with our sister cities, with the state, etc., and in its public and private sector partnerships. We've been very successful. And I can say that I have benefited from my tenure as mayor by learning and trying to put into practice various principles of leadership that I thought I had been seeing. And I was looking at something earlier, and I want to share this. I'm getting close here, but I'm going to do it anyway. Of the challenges of being a mayor, and I share this with you in retrospect. The sheer complexity of law, the time needed to get up to speed and truly be knowledgeable on substantive issues. Staff doesn't fully understand the community, assails the mayor and the council. Mayors want information and action to meet complaints. This has become a challenge. It's so much improved than when I first started, so much improved. The council is seen as a whole by the citizens. Poor behavior by some members is generalized as a whole. That has become quite a challenge at times. Supporting everyone to keep their egos in check and to focus on service, not on power. What did I say? Opinion can be individualized. Authority is collective. And that's the fundamental. Forming an effective working relationship with the city manager. That has been difficult when you go through 5 of them. We've got a good one now. We've got a good one now. And you can take care of that. Balancing building and nurturing a great working team on the council while seeking funding and forming public-private partnerships, participating with regional stakeholders. You don't do it in an isolated environment. You've got to be more global in your activity, more global in your thinking. Staying detached and resilient from what seems to be personal attacks that come from being a public figure. And that is an ongoing one. Using limited time to focus on and communicate the highest leverage issues. These are challenges. Using position most advantageously for the city, that is, learning about how to influence the legislature and the federal government on city issues. And recognize you have a bully pulpit. Learn to energize it and inspire the community to take key actions. It's been a very broad and generalized review, and now we have a few minutes. I don't know what constraints you have, but let's try to respond to one or more questions that you may have. I've either confused you or convinced you. Chuck?
The graphic had a note about how the city might partner with churches for low-cost housing. Can you expand on that concept a little bit?
Not really.
Like a joke can.
This was a spontaneous release, and we, the council, have a peripheral knowledge of it. But the idea is that the faith-based community, many of the churches have surplus land, or what could be called surplus land. They have extra land. And how are they planning on using that? Are they planning on using that for mission work or developing programs, etc.? One of the ideas is, well, this could be land that could be potentially developed for affordable housing. How that affordable housing, what it could be, that's yet to be, finalized. But it could be a possibility. And there are a number of faith-based bricks and mortar facilities in the community that may be able to host those ideas. So it's that dart. And we're playing darts in the British club. We put it out there, and if it hits the target, great. But it may be out in the fringe. We'll see. But it's moving that direction. And it is a possibility. It is a possibility because that concept of providing affordable housing may fit in with the mission of one or more of our faith-based community. So it is a strong possibility. But as far as actual details, are we looking at R1 or single family, multiple family, apartment houses, etc.? All of that is yet to evolve in that. Did I duck the question, Jim?
Yep, that's good political.
Well, I don't know the specifics, that's what it is. And that I
It
can say
sounded
honestly.
brand new, and it seemed like something that could be viable.
I think it could be. I think it could be. And I've already brought it to your organization. Any other questions? Yes, Joe.
We all know, this group pretty much all knows you're here and stuff, and over the next month, everyone's going to say thank you again. But thank you and Mary. I think all of us as a town understand the sacrifice the two of you had to make. You didn't make money off of this job, and just as somebody, and Shelley and I came here to work, but this is we've come here to retire, this is our home, and as just a plain old resident, as you move that way, you've given up a lot, both of you, and probably more than Eric, but, so, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, Amy.
I'll second in that admiration talk. I'm new to council, like 2-ish months, and I just want to thank you for your example, especially for the young crowd that's coming in, and I hope that I can carry forward what I think you really have brought to council in the city of Newberg, which is what I think is missing in the political scene right now of not politicizing an issue and really listening and thoughtfully thinking through an issue and understanding all points of view. And I really hope that I'll be able to carry that forward on council, and I hope that I just hope you know how much I admire you, even though it's only been a couple months, and I've learned a lot, even in a couple months watching you.
But I have an expectation that you will do that.
You can send me an email.
I want to add my congratulations. I've spent some time over the last 20 years looking at the history of this town, and some work looking at mayors, past mayors. We've had great leadership here. But I got to tell you, in my opinion, I don't even know this guy up here. That's not true. I actually know him pretty well. But in my opinion, looking back over the 44 mayors, Bob Andrews will, 100 years from now, rank, I'm not kidding you, rank right up at the very top of the best, the greatest mayors we've ever had. There's no question about it. And we're in the presence here of a man who very soon, if not right now, is going to be an historic figure in this town. It's a pleasure knowing you and having lived here in this town the whole time you've been the mayor. The accomplishments that you covered for us tonight, that portfolio that you gave us is astonishing. It really is. And when you take a look at the fact that the mayors, a mayor now in our day and time, not only has to govern and help guide and help lead and manage the city as it is now, but also has to incorporate almost on a daily basis, I would imagine, planning for this city for the future, for when the person in office is not even going to be mayor anymore. And that, combining those two, of the present and preparing for the future, for the 2030, for example, the committee is together, is truly, don't ask me to do it. That's an amazing, and it has to be a very special person who can do that. And we've had a very, very special mayor the last 12 years. And you set the bar real high, Bob. Thank you very much.
Other questions?
I'll ask you a question.
Yes, you may.
How is the city of Newberg preserving its history? So beyond the historic preservation vision, so records and information.
We have the efforts of our city librarian that is preserving that what we do is, as the city, as well as those, the graphic and other publications that talk about what is going on. And we have a very active and a very dedicated city recorder that is working on our archives and trying to make sure that those are up to date. Duplicates are thrown away so that we have a good, consistent, ongoing history. And we're able to find things today that we didn't find before. Some of the things we're not too sure we're happy to find. The city attorney brought me one today that said, "Did you know?" And I said, "No, I don't know." It's like that Christmas guy. "Do you know? Mary, did you know?" "Well, Mayor, did you know?" "No, I didn't." But that's what it is. So between the work of Leah the librarian and our city recorder, Sue Ryan, we're much more committed to maintaining the integrity of that record. Yes. Good question. Thank you for the opportunity. I want to share one final thought with you, and that is, I really truly believe in my discussions with the mayor-elect that you're going to be well served. And I mean that from my heart. I do believe the heart is in the right place. The understanding is, the ability to understand is there. But one of the things that this person will bring in and has been exposed to, that I was exposed to, is the whole concept of the servanthood of leadership. And I think therein lies what you were talking about, George. When you run for office, you run to serve the community. You know, I'm running for office to serve as. I'm going to serve as. Well, then serve. So it is the service, the servanthood of leadership. And if we can keep that in our mind, doesn't mean you don't lead. But who are you responsible to? And I think you're going to be well served. I really do. Thank you again for the opportunity to sum this up. It's been interesting. As I did the research on this, I began to find out things that I had completely forgotten about, and I'm sure I've forgotten about things that I didn't even talk about. Thank you again.
All right, thank you again. If you are interested in learning more about historical